Once upon a time, nestled deep in a necklace of snow-dusted mountains, there was a little town like no other. It wasn't known for its size or its treasures. It was known for its kindness. Here, neighbors smiled at one another, helped carry shopping bags, and left notes of encouragement in flower pots. Every morning, the sun rose gently, and birds sang so sweetly it felt like the sky itself was waking up in a good mood. In the evening, the setting sun would bathe the rooftops in soft pink, casting a dreamy glow on everything below. Now, this town had a secret, a delightful one. The cats who lived there were no ordinary felines. They were well-mannered, graceful, and, believe it or not, they wore clothes. Yes, little jackets and waistcoats, soft silk scarves and rain boots, tiny hats perched perfectly between their ears. And the most refined, elegant, and adored cat of them all was Clive. Clive lived on the top floor of a wooden townhouse right in the middle of the town. He had a coat of fur that shimmered like autumn, burnt orange, maple brown, and warm tangerine, with snow-white socks on each paw and a white bib that stretched from his chin all the way to his belly. Clive was a cat of taste. Whether it was a breakfast coat, a mid-morning tie, or a dinner jacket with a plum silk lining, Clive knew exactly what to wear, and when. But what he treasured most was his pajamas. Not just any pajamas. These were blue silk pajamas, the softest you could ever imagine, made from the silk of the sleepiest silkworms, sewn with thread from the Temple of Peace, and buttoned with pearls from the Baron of Dreams himself. They weren't just pajamas, they were a lullaby wrapped in clothing. One morning, just as the first rays of dawn tickled the mountaintops, Clive stirred from sleep. He yawned, stretched his paws, gave a very dignified sigh of contentment, and heard a sound. Rip. He blinked, looked down, and gasped softly. His beloved pajamas had torn. Now, if you've ever had a favorite pair of pajamas, you'll understand. Clive wasn't just disappointed, he was crushed. He called for his assistant, Mr. Tibbles, a fluffy white cat in an orange waistcoat, who arrived in a flurry of whiskers and worried paw steps. Together, they looked at the rip. Mr. Tibbles suggested buying a new pair in town, but Clive shook his head. These weren't just pajamas. They were special. They had to be made just right. Then Clive had an idea. He hadn't left town in a long while. Perhaps, just this once, he would go out and gather the pieces himself. Yes, what a grand little adventure it would be. And so, their journey began. Clive donned his beige walking trousers and green galoshes. Mr. Tibbles put on a hunting jacket. Out they went, padding down cobblestone streets that smelled faintly of croissants and rain. They passed the greengrocer, the hat lady, the flower shop, and the jewelers. The town was just waking up, shopkeepers sweeping their porches, birds hopping along windowsills. At the tram stop, a red and gold tram clanged to a gentle halt. The cats leapt on. The tram chugged its way up the great hill, the part of town nestled on the mountain's slope. It was steep and winding, and it led to the observatory, where the stars were studied, and the Baron of Dreams lived. The observatory was round and red-bricked, topped with a giant brass telescope and ivy climbing up its sides. The cats scaled it nimbly, paws tapping on the dome until they reached a little window. Clive tapped a secret rhythm, and the window opened with a soft click. Inside was a golden room no bigger than a closet, lit by beads of colored glass that shimmered with sunlight. And on a small throne, sat the Baron of Dreams, an old, bony cat with fur like fog and eyes like candlelight. Clive offered a tin of sardines as a gift, and the three cats shared breakfast and stories of dreams, naps, and gossip from across the town. When the last sardine had vanished, the Baron opened a drawer and handed Clive a velvet pouch. Inside were buttons, soft, shiny dream buttons, each one perfect for a night of gentle sleep. Clive bowed with gratitude, tucked the pouch in his coat, and prepared for the next leg of the journey. Out on the dome, Clive pointed to a patch of forest far below, a quilt of emerald green nestled in the valley. That's where the sleepiest silkworms lived. And how would they get there? With a parachute, of course. Holding either side of the silk chute, the two cats leapt from the roof. The wind whooshed past their whiskers, and then, pop, the parachute bloomed above them. They floated gently through the mountain air, over rivers and treetops, the world below painted with shadows and light. They landed on a great pine tree, and there, wrapped in soft silk, hung dozens of colorful worms, magenta, gold, silver, even lavender. But Clive's eyes found one in particular. A pale blue worm, the color of morning, gently snoring by the trunk. With utmost politeness, Clive offered her a packet of premium coffee beans. The silkworm, delighted, vanished into her cocoon and returned with a neatly folded sheet of the most peaceful blue silk. The cats thanked her with bows and padded down the tree, paws soft on the forest floor. Then Clive stopped. He lifted his chin. "Listen," he whispered. Mr. Tibbles cocked his ears. At first, he heard nothing. Then, the sound of water, a gentle, babbling stream. They followed it through the trees, noses twitching at the scent of pine and spring. At the bank, Clive picked a leaf, broad and waxy, and floated it onto the water. Mr. Tibbles did the same. Carefully, they stepped aboard, letting the stream carry them like drifting dreams. Sunlight filtered through tree branches, warming their fur as birds chirped soft lullabies. The stream wound and wandered until it led to a small beach made of smooth gray stones. And there, rising like a whisper from the shore, stood the Temple of Peace. Inside, it was still and round. The air shimmered with calm. From the shadows, a beautiful owl glided down, a silver thread dangling from her beak. She hooted once, and suddenly, tiny owls appeared from every crevice and beam, swooping and chirping gently. Clive offered the silk and buttons. The owls measured him with twine, snipped the silk, and began sewing with careful beaks. Some owls danced through the air with needles of moonlight, stitching in swirls that shimmered. Mr. Tibbles giggled nervously when the owls began measuring him too. Soon, the cats were dressed in the most elegant pajamas imaginable. Blue as a sleepy sky, soft as cloud, and warm as a hug. The owls fluffed their wings and vanished into the rafters. Clive yawned deeply. Mr. Tibbles blinked slowly. "How will we get home?" Tibbles murmured. But Clive only stretched out on the temple floor, his new pajamas brushing the stone like a lullaby. "That," he said with a purr, "can wait until morning." So the two cats curled up, tails wrapped gently, paws tucked close, and eyes fluttering shut. Around them, the temple whispered peace. Outside, the stars blinked softly. And somewhere, far above, the Baron of Dreams leaned back in his golden throne and smiled. And as the last thought drifted from Clive's mind, a dream took its place, a dream of floating leaf boats, golden owls, and silkworms that snored like songs. And now, you too can close your eyes. Let your breath slow. Imagine Clive, soft and warm, deep in sleep. Imagine the stream, the forest, the peaceful town. And as you drift off, know that dreams are waiting, just for you. Good night.